What's up, everyone? It's Thomas with Real Broker here in St. Augustine, Florida, coming at you live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. going over the market stats, the news you need to know about if you think about buying, selling, or investing here in northeastern Florida. And we're also doing a Q&A. So if you have any questions, if you're watching it live, you're watching the replay, make sure you fire them off in the comments below. I am trying a new streaming service, so I'm actually broadcasting to Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram all at the same time. Haven't done this before, so if you do see an issue, I am working out the kinks as I move forward. And if you are watching from Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, please let me know in the comments below, just so I know that it's working across all the platforms that we have available. So just to get it started off, like we always do, we're going to take a look at the market stats. And luckily for us, I have Alex Stewart at the Market Distillery, who takes the market and he distills it, makes it really simple for idiots like myself to be able to really just get the information across to people. And I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to take a look at the Market Pulse 360 and just kind of go over March's data, right? So let me see a couple of the data points here that I wanted to cover. Where are we at? Okay, so March closed sales. 63% of the sales were between $200,000 and $500,000, down only a percentage point from last month. 115 sales over $1 million, which is actually up from 93 sales last month. 26% of those were cash sales. The sold to original list price actually went up, which is another sign of strength in our market. Only a percentage point, not a huge change, but in this scenario, if houses are listed at $1 million, they're selling at $960,000. Almost half of our market, 39% of properties, had concessions noted, which is something that we're pretty much negotiating on. Every buyer I work with, we're negotiating concessions in some form, whether that's a price concession or that's a seller concession for closing costs or a rate buy down. On average, with new construction, you're seeing a $17,000 concession. On existing homes, you're seeing $7,500. New construction was 25% of the sales, and the reason is look at this disparity here between new construction and existing home sales. That's the reason, is they're able to give this money to buyers because they have the profit margin to do that. Unlike most, just individual sellers of their homes, they don't have this large profit margin they can take from. They're just taking away from their equity and what they would net from the home to move on to their next home. So they're able to do this in $16,800. I mean, most builders I know are paying the majority of the closing costs. You can negotiate a good bit of that, and they're also buying down a rate. So they're not even really advertising the majority of what they're doing in their seller concessions on the MLS, from what I can personally tell, because I know most of the new construction I work with, we're getting at least the closing costs paid for, and closing costs on a $500,000 house are roughly going to be about $16,000. So one thing I also wanted to point out here, and we're going to talk about inflation and the news stories. I'm going to point out two things here. So March, we've actually seen a large increase in listings for this month. Now, we're still technically in a seller's market, but we have seen a huge increase, 514 new listings in March. Now, that's a good bit of new construction homes going on the market, but also people that want to sell their homes that are just individual home sellers. In total, we got 1,074 active listings for March and then 514 new listings. So that is a pretty good jump within this month, and we'll keep track of that as well to see what's going on. But let's talk about inflation. So if you guys haven't heard, and this is a news story that we're going to cover here, I might as well just flip back over to it. So inflation hasn't gone anywhere, right? Inflation actually went up from the targets that they had. The Treasury yields fall, which is actually something that they weren't expecting. It did spike up pretty good, which then pushed interest rates above 7%, which is the highest point since November of last year, because the mortgage interest rates and the 10-year Treasury bond really kind of dance with each other and follow each other pretty good if you're looking at their historical averages. So it actually fell, which is pretty interesting, just today, which is a good thing for our market, but we don't know if we're necessarily going to see that correlation in interest rate. Now, the Fed is saying that they're going to, I lost the page I was on. Whoop, whoop, whoop. The Fed says that they're going to lower interest rates at some point this year, right? Now, that initially it was going to be 3 cuts, and there was talk of 6 cuts, and everyone thought that was going to happen much, much earlier. But because inflation really hasn't gone anywhere, I think the target for CPI this month was 3.5% or 3.7%, one of those, and it came in at 3.8%. So the Fed's like, you know what, hey, maybe we're going to have inflation for higher and longer than we actually expected, and we're going to keep the federal funds rate at a higher rate than we expected. So there's a 33% chance of Fed rate cut in June, down from 73%. So there was a lot of confidence before that rates are going to go down in June, but now it's only a third of people think that's going to happen. 50% of people think there's a Fed rate cut in July, and 71% chance of a Fed rate cut in September. So if you're watching this, I'd really like to know, what do you guys think about this? I mean, because obviously I follow this a good bit. I obviously want this to go down. I just had actually a mortgage banker call me today asking if I wanted to refinance, and I'm like, my interest rate is 7%. So what am I going to do with the refinance at this point? I mean, maybe I can refinance at like 6.85. What is that going to save me on my month? Nothing. It's a waste. It's totally a waste. I was like, why are you even calling me? Like, get out of here. Take me off your list. So, oh, awesome. Jamie, thank you for letting me know Facebook works. That's perfect. Guys, if you are watching on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, please let me know in the comments. I am trying out a new streaming service, so just let me know that it works. I want to make sure that I'm putting this out every week on the same platforms, just so it's just free information for everyone. So let me know. Jamie, thank you so much. I appreciate you. But also let me know what you think about this inflation question. We don't know what's going to happen. Do you feel that inflation is going to go down? Do you feel like the Fed is going to make cuts? From what we can see here, inflation hasn't changed year over year. It's actually gone up. The target for the Fed for inflation is 2%, and things for the most part are around 3.5%, 3.8% when you're looking at the different measures of inflation. So, that being said, we're a long way away from that 2%. Is the Fed going to wait until we get to 2% to start cutting rates? Are they going to look for consistent decline in inflation month over month until they feel comfortable enough to do that? Hard to say. I mean, of course, all of us in the real estate industry want that to happen, because once they start cutting rates, then the 10-year Treasury should go down, then mortgage rates should follow that as well. Once mortgage rates start going down, starts unlocking more affordability for people out there to go and buy homes. And also, if you're looking to sell a house, it also helps you sell your house so you can buy your next house. So it'll kind of change up this lock-in effect that we've had for over a year now because of high interest rates. So very interesting stuff, at least to me. Maybe it's not to most people. But let's head on to the next news story. We'll cover these things here, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let's see here. Okay, now this is actually something that is a good note, but insurance companies are looking to lower rates. So this is a news story that came out this week, and it's also amongst other news stories where like, oh, this premium went up, this premium went up. And I'm just being honest with you guys, this is like one of the positive news stories that I found surrounding insurance here in Florida. And it's something that we've been keeping track on our side, is because insurance is another problem here in the state of Florida. We all know a lot of companies pulled out. I just talked to a buyer today who called Geico to see if he can get insurance on a property here, and Geico doesn't insure any properties in Florida at all. Most of the major companies don't. So you have a lot of local places. Citizens is a big place here that's backed by the state of Florida. And 2 companies actually look to lower their rates, and they, that's a big headline there, but they're only lowering their rate by 0.5%. So rates are going down from the 100% increases that we've seen year over year for the past couple of years. So not necessarily a huge change or a big positive for people here, but it's a lot better than the opposite. It was like, hey, it's going up more than it was before. So at least it's looking like it might start trending downward. This is probably in correlation to, let me see, can I just click this here? Oh, nope. Sorry, that didn't work. Let's switch back here. That's not working. What's going on? There we go. Okay, sorry. So that was in correlation to a bill that was passed to really mitigate the attorney fees that are a part of litigation when it comes down to home insurance claims. And that's really one of the biggest reasons that we've seen insurance premiums start to increase, is because, one, we have natural disasters here that happens, but there's also a lot of fraud within the insurance companies here. Most of that's surrounded around roofing, where a roofer will come out and say, hey, I can get you. Now, fraud is what the insurance companies want to call it, but at the end of the day, the roofer is able to find some evidence of hurricane damage, and they're able to get you a new roof for your deductible because they can prove that you have damage from a recent storm. So the insurance company says, hey, you know, I can either pay for this roof or I can fight it in court, but that tends to be about the same cost as what a new roof would be. So that's why a lot of insurance companies pulled out, and also because of the attorney fees tied to those situations. So we're hopefully going to start seeing less insurance claims based off of these situations because of this bill that was passed. And it already went off a cliff from like 2023. We were like 70% of the insurance claims in the nation here in the state of Florida, and it's already dropped by like 50% since that bill. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel in terms of insurance and the costs. I don't know if it's ever going to go back down to what it was, but hopefully we're going to see some more competition, some more insurance carriers coming back into the state of Florida that will hopefully lower the rates. So on to the next news story, guys. If you have any questions about insurance here in Florida, let me know in the comments below or reach out to me directly. One thing I will say, though, is that a lot of this stuff is based around people that are in flood zones outside of flood zone X. Now, if everything in Florida is in flood zone X is where you're not required to have flood insurance. If you are in an area that requires you to have flood insurance, like flood zone AE, you're more than likely close to the water. Your elevation of your house is very low. So if it does rain really hard, if there is flooding, you're going to have some problems. We're seeing a lot of those areas have the biggest issues when it comes down to these insurance premiums. Now, if you're looking pretty much at any new construction home in flood zone X, your insurance is going to be around $150 a month. That's what I've been seeing across the board. So it's super reasonable. Plus, you're getting a brand new house in an area that's not in a flood zone. So flood zone X is like, hey, if there's a 100-year Noah's Ark type of flood, you're going to have a problem. So any questions about that, let me know. I'm going to head on to the next news story. I'm still a little jet lagged. Got back from our honeymoon in Japan, Thailand at like 2:30 a.m. yesterday. So technically, it's like 8 a.m. in Thailand right now, so I'm running on fumes. But let's look on the next news story here, guys. This is something that we talked about before. Actually, shout out to CB. He sent me an email about this. St. Augustine, one of the 4 finalists to be home of the Black History Museum. This property is going to go off of King Street and Holmes, right? So if you're familiar with that area, pull this up here. Let's see. Okay, let me pull this here. So this is King Street right here. This is West King, downtown St. Augustine. And you have South Holmes here. So if you're familiar with this area, there's a fire station right here. The idea is to put the Black Museum right here off of South Holmes Boulevard and West King Street. That is something that kind of goes along with St. Augustine. We obviously have a lot of history here in the city of St. Augustine, and what a lot of people don't know is it's also a large area for the civil rights movement. Also, prior to that, we also have like Fort Mose, which was originally a fort that Native Americans and African Americans were allowed to live at comfortably. How comfortably, I don't know. That's just what they say in the local history here. I don't know. But it was also the first line of defense if someone were to come in the channel to attack Fort Matanzas. So probably not as comfortable as they want you to believe, but who knows. So either way, they're looking to build this museum, and we're one of the 4 finalists, and our county's pushing hard for it. And what they're saying is that we're in the final phase of the selection process, and we're the front runner. And I think it it goes really well with this area, honestly. And I think it's a great add to West Augustine. Tons of good things going on in West Augustine right now. That will definitely pull more people down through West Augustine and not so much on downtown St. Augustine, where they're already building a parking garage in West Augustine. On West King Street, closer to US 1, businesses are booming, really. I mean, like, I can probably name like 5 to 10 businesses right off the rip that have just opened within the past year that are on West King. So from what I can tell, what I think is going to happen here, West King is going to turn into like the locals area where locals go to hang out, and they're going to add some tourism here and there. But for the most part, I think they're trying to make it more like a local area, because any more locals don't want to go downtown to St. Augustine. It's just too much of a hassle with all the tourism, all the traffic. It's not their space anymore, you know. So I think West King is going to become more of the local space, and this is just going to add to that. So we got CB here. Let's see. Can I show the comments on this? Let me see. I'm still trying to figure this out here, guys. So give me a second. I don't know if I can broadcast it. There we go. Okay. Boom. That's awesome. I can actually increase the size too. Just give me a second. All right, CB, welcome back. Good to see. We are at the top contender for the State African History Museum. This would bring tourism dollars to the West Augustine area, and hopefully will spur development. Yeah, and I mean, like that, I think that area there really would be a good spot for it. And it's not too, it's like maybe a mile, man, it's probably 2 miles from downtown St. Augustine, probably, you know, a little bit, maybe 1.5 miles from the parking garage there. So there is a little bit of gap to bridge there, but they're already putting the parking garage there. They're more than likely going to have a shuttle to downtown St. Augustine, so it's not too much more to bring it out there to West to Holmes. So yeah, excited to see what's happening there. CB, appreciate you sending that to me. So if you got any more, send them over to me. Let's see what else you got to say here. Now get that interstate exit open off 95 and see. And yeah, and so County Road 214 is that essentially, you know, King Street goes here, runs into Holmes, and County Road 214 is the extension there. So yeah, I mean, I think that would be awesome if they open that up. I think we're going to need to see a lot more development down there before they do that. But I mean, I have a couple people that are over in Morgan's Cove. And like that would be so nice for them just to be able to hop on 95, not have to come out to Holmes, go up 16 or go to 207. So yeah, we'll see what happens, CB. We'll stay on top of it, of course. But yeah, I think it's a good ad. I think that'll definitely add. It's another reason to visit St. Augustine, a historic city anyway. But then you're going to add some Black history to it as well, which it already has a good bit of significance in Black history. So I think it's a fantastic ad. So we'll see what happens. We're in the front runner. I think it's going to happen, but who knows? Guys, this is brought to you by Poppy. This is like my new favorite thing. These are awesome. I'm a big soda. Like I love soda, and this really has helped me kick my soda cravings because it's really amazing. 5 grams of sugar. It's like apple cider vinegar, and this is cherry limeade. It's fantastic. Love it. They don't sponsor me, I'm lying. So, either way, back on to the next news story, guys. I think I got one more for you. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Let's get on with it. All right. I might have 2 more for you. Maybe it's 1 more. I don't know. But this is something that has been controversial on the Facebook page of St. Augustine News. St. Johns County approves $5.5 million plan to buy the property at World Golf Village. It also agreed to purchase and lease back the IMAX Theater and PGA Productions facility on the property until March 2025. So if you're not familiar with this area, this is right off of I-95 and International Golf Parkway. So I'll show you exactly where this is. Right over here. Excuse me. In this little area here. So they bought this entire commercial space for $5.5 million, which to me, I mean, that kind of seems like a steal. But now the county paid for it with tax dollars, so people in St. Augustine are like, what a waste, the county's going to ruin this, it's going to be terrible, it's just going to sit vacant, yada, 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 a whole bunch of negative things. The verse side of that is if it was sold to a private company and then it's just made into like nothing, you know, like, oh, a storage facility, another storage facility, whereas like this is a prime location for this area, and it was a staple really of commercial space for a long, long time until it really kind of lost steam, let's say. As you can see, they're really excited about the IMAX being in there, which in reality, no one cares about that anymore. I mean, IMAX was cool, when I was a kid. Now, hey, we all have 60-inch TVs in our house with 4K and all that kind of stuff. Watching an IMAX, what part of the screen do you look at? It's just, I don't think it's interesting anymore, but for some reason people love it still. I don't think it needs to be a hinge point of this whole facility. But either way, there's talks about making a public library out there. That's also part of the funds that went towards purchasing this property, so I imagine that's going to be in the plans. But what do you guys think about this? I'm kind of indifferent. I don't know enough about it. I do feel a little bit weird that the county spent taxpayer dollars on it to control it, but at the same time, the county has done some good things. They've handled the amphitheater for a long time. Right, they took control of the amphitheater, and they made. I mean, it's the second best. It's the number one amphitheater by ticket sales in the country. Now, that's because we're open year round. So, to Red Rocks would be number one, right? But it's a beautiful place, and they had a lot of great shows, and now they've passed it on to a private company. So, if they can do that, okay. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to make this okay. We'll see what happens. I'm interested to see what they plan on putting there, but. Who knows? Who knows? Let me see. Make sure I think that was my last news story. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that was it. So it looks like we got a question here. So if you guys have any questions, it doesn't have to be about what I covered here. It could be about anything here in St. Augustine. But we got Jonathan. What's some of the best schools around St. Augustine? So Jonathan, you got to let me know a little bit more what type of schools, elementary, middle, high school. The one thing that I can say is that it's really easy to figure that out. So if you need it, I can email it over to you, but I'll just pull it up right here while I have you on the live stream, or I can just share my screen. Let me see. I'll pull it up on my... Okay, let's see here. All right, so this is the school grades from 2022. They had the 23 school grades available, but when I downloaded it, it wasn't a full list, so I'm not sure what was going on there. So we're just going to use 22 for now. I imagine most of the school ratings are about the same. So obviously it has every school in the entire state, but you can go by county, right? So we're in St. Johns County here. I went to Sebastian Middle School. It was a C school when I went there. But now I think it's a B school. So this is going to be the most recent rating here in the T column is what the current schools are. 73% of schools in St. Johns County are rated A schools. So really pretty much anywhere you go, you're going to be just fine. But if there's a certain area, you can also do this. So if you're looking at a house, Jonathan, let me see. If you're looking at a house, let's say you're looking at a house in Silverleaf. I have this great listing, 56 Pond Court, has a pool. So let's just pull that up real quick just so you can see that. Okay, of course that didn't work. Frickin' Zillow. Okay, we'll go to Redfin. Great little pool house here, right? See a couple of these photos. Boom, 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 boom. Great little house, right? So let's say that you're interested in 56 Pond Court. So all you need to do is go to St. Johns County Attendance Zone Locator. You pull it up here. Once it does it, go to the 2024-2025 Attendance Zone Locator. Things are being rezoned constantly because they're building schools constantly. I think they have a plan to build 17 more schools over the next 17 years. But then you enter your address, then it tells you. Okay? So, for example, this one's Wards Creek, Passetti Bay, and Tocoi Creek High School. So you go back to the school grades, and this is all something if you want me to do for you, I can do for you. It doesn't really bother me. It takes me no time at all. I can also send you all this. Wards Creek Elementary, we got a B rating. And what was it? What was the other one? Passetti Bay, was that it? Pacetti Bay right above it, A rating, and then Tecoy Creek down here, A rating. And that's a brand new school, so they don't have any previous history. So that's how you do it. That's about as simple as it can get. If you have any questions about any other schools there, let me know. Middle and high school. So yeah, sorry I just saw that, Jonathan. But if there's a additional, like if there's a certain area that you're looking in, that's the way to check it, right? So, you know, we have a whole bunch of schools here. St. Johns County's got great schools. There are some issues because we've been growing so much, and if you reach out to me, I can cover all that. I don't want to go on a tangent here. But you can always, hey, if you find a house you like, type it into the school attendance zone locator, and then you can reference this sheet, and that'll get you all the information that you need. And then if you want additional information, I do also have a Facebook page, facebook.com/living in St. Augustine. Go on there, ask a question, say, hey, I'm looking at sending my kid to Pacetti Bay. Get the feedback from the parents, right? Because though schools, and it depends where you're coming from. If you're in the state of Florida, then the schools are probably going to be very comparable. But I've also heard from people, and this is all hearsay, you know, they never went to the schools here, but I went to schools here. It turned out all right. But they're like, oh, I went to school up north, and the schooling down here compared to the schooling up north is nothing. And like, I don't know, I went to school here, and I went to another school up north, and like I was like, man, some of these kids can't keep up with what I'm like. We're learning the same stuff, you know. Like, and I was like, man, this is taking you way longer than it's taking me. But that's neither here nor there. But Jonathan, any other questions about schools? Let me know. I'd love to be able to help out. We got another John here. Billy Strings of the Amp is pretty cool. It's very cool if you could get tickets. I mean, right when they go up for sale, they go, man. Like, and that's one guy I've been meaning to see because I hear live he's amazing. But having Billy Strings is one example of how many good acts we have at the amphitheater. Last year we saw like Milky Chance, we saw OAR, we saw a couple other bands. Man, I lose track of it. And then also we had the Sing Out Loud Festival, Black Keys, Mumford & Sons. We got a great little town here. A whole bunch of good things to do. But yeah, Billy Strings, it's if you can get tickets, right? I mean, they're just, they're expensive now because he's like a big deal, but he'll play 3 nights in a row, sell out every single night. And there's 4,000 seats in the amphitheater. It's like, dang. And he'll sell it like the first day. So, pretty interesting. But, yeah, guys, looks like that is it. I appreciate you being here today. Any questions about buying, selling, or investing, please let me know. Oh, John, I meant to tell you, if you're still watching this, a realtor reached out to me like, hey, what happened with this property? How did this price? This price is so low compared to everything else here. And I was like, let's go, John, let's go. Either way, I was pretty happy to see that text. So hope all's going well with you. Guys, here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. I was gone these last 2 weeks on my honeymoon. Went to Japan and Thailand. Had a crazy time. I'm exhausted. I'm jet lagged. I'm going to get off of here for the night. But if you are looking to buy, sell, or invest here in northeastern Florida, make sure you reach out to me and my team. Love to be able to help out. We don't pressure anyone to do anything. We just give you the information so that you can make an educated decision on what you already want to do, which is buy a house here in the area. So, until next time, guys, I'll catch you.